obviously just a mug. Fuck's sake. Hi guys, it's Chris Weaver here for All Out Athletics, bringing you a recipe video today of my favourite kind of cake, the mug cake. All you need is simply a mug, obviously some whey protein powder. Depending on the flavour of the powder you use, depends completely on the flavour of said cake. You're going to need 1 egg, you're going to need some cocoa powder. The more organic it is, the better. I use green and blacks. Please endorse it at every single opportunity. You're going to need some baking powder, and for the topping, it's completely up to you. Some people put peanut butter, some people put banana, some people put milk chocolate, some people put Reese's Pieces on top, some people put nuts. I mean, I'm having just a slight foodgasm here just thinking about it. But today, we're going to keep it low carb, we're going to keep it really healthy. We're going to use 0 calorie icing sugar. I got this from Muscle Food. Please endorse us at every opportunity given. 0 calorie icing sugar, and I'm going to mix that with a little bit of the cocoa powder as well, because that makes a nice little frosty, chocolate, glazy type thing, and then I'm going to throw some sprinkles on top, and we're going to make it look like some kind of birthday cake. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to get our whey protein. I use mine from the Protein Works, great site, purely because you can get it cheap as chips, and they do so many good flavours. So many good flavours. They got mocha, they got peanut butter chocolate chip cookie, which is awesome. And today I'm going to use their chocolate silk flavour. Simply just throw the whey protein in there. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to add our, I'd say, depending on the baking powder, depends completely on how much you should use. I use about just past a quarter, so about 1/3 of a teaspoon of baking powder. The more you use, the more it's going to rise. The problem is when it's in the microwave, it will overflow, so just be cautious. It'll probably overflow when we do it today, but it's fine. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to add the cocoa powder. Now careful, this stuff is messy as fudge. Put a whole teaspoon in there. Lovely. It smells delicious already. It's just dry ingredients, good God. So we're going to mix up all the dry ingredients inside here. Some people prefer to mix up all their ingredients before they put it in the mug. I say don't waste your time, don't waste the washing up. Most mugs are made from ceramic, and most of them, the cake probably won't stick to it anyway, so you're fine, you're all good. So, now we've got that in there, we're going to get our 1 egg, smash that, throw it in there. And that's the only wet ingredient that we're going to use. Some people use milk as well to make it a little bit moister. Sod it, I say. I'm just going to mix this up with a spoon. You can also use a fork if you want, but it's just more washing up. You already got the spoon dirty. That's what we're going to do. We're going to mix it up. Make sure that we get a nice, evenly thick batter. I mean, most people know exactly what cake batter looks like. They're not idiots. So it starts to go a little bit gloopy. Make sure you get all the lumps out. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So yeah, that's the kind of consistency you're looking at. Kind of just a gloopy consistency there. Some people will put coconut oil on the inside of the mug first to make sure it doesn't stick as much. Personally, I'm a fan of just eating straight out the mug, because there's no real point in not doing so. So, good stuff. So now it's all mixed. You can see it's like a really thick batter. It's not going anywhere. What we're going to do is we'll walk it over to the microwave. Okay, so depending on your microwave, completely depends on the time that it's going to take to cook this cake. Now, it can take anything from 35 seconds, 45 seconds, all the way up through to 1 minute and 20. It's completely dependent. Chances are though you need to keep an eye on it because of the baking powder, depending on how much you put inside, again, depends on how much it's going to rise. It could rise all the way to the bloody ceiling if you're not careful. So make sure that you're cautious, you're watching what you're doing, and don't mess it up. It's a good cake. So, inside this microwave, we've already got some peas and mash. I'm going to remove that from the microwave. And what we're going to do is, we're going to throw the cake in there, not the pizza mate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on for a minute. I'm going to keep an eye on it and see what happens. Okay, so that is your mug cake. Look at that, son of a bitch. Right, so whilst we're waiting for the mug cake to cool down, we're going to open up our 0-calorie icing sugar, brought to you by Muscle Food. Please endorse us. So what we're going to do is, probably going to get, we don't need much, we're going to put it on the top. So we're going to get 1, 2 teaspoons of icing sugar. It's delicious, it tastes exactly like icing sugar. Just going to get some water in there. Minimal amounts, you want to keep it nice and thick. Make sure that before you apply the icing sugar that the cake is nice and cooled, otherwise we're in trouble. So it will just melt off and it won't look right. Here's me talking about not a lot of washing up. I brought out 3 bowls and a mug, but what can you do? This is purely down to toppings. The more toppings you have, the crazier it's going to be. So now what we're going to do is, we're going to take our mug cake. It should slide out quite nicely. Nice and sticky still. Good stuff. It's like a massive tower of cake. It's delicious. Right, so we've got the cake out. It's still a little bit hot, but we're being careful not to muck about it too much. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to cut it. This is purely down to decorative purposes. I'm going to cut it in half. Let's see how moist it is. It's a very moist cake. It bakes brilliantly, just in a minute. I think in my microwave it was just over a minute that it baked in. There we go. Lovely, moist, spongy. So what we're going to do now is what I'm going to do is, I've got some Walden Farms marshmallow dip, 0 calorie, so obviously still quite healthy. I'm going to throw that just in the middle. Let it sit there for a second, let it melt a little bit. Now before we put the top on, because we're making somewhat a birthday cake type protein cake with its decoration, what we're going to do is, we're going to take the top, dip it in our icing sugar, so it's completely covered, like so. And then what we're going to do is straighten the sprinkles. We're going to throw this on top. And voila, you've got yourself your protein mug cake that I absolutely love for post-workout. Okay, so what we've got here is a very high protein, very moderately fat, but it's all dietary fat as well, and it's very low carb as well. I know it's not the lowest carb in the world, but when I say low carb, it is subsequently low in carbohydrates. So we're looking at about 30 grams of protein in this whole cake. We're looking at 9 grams of dietary fat, and we're also looking at 5 grams of carbs, which is next to nothing. I sincerely hope that you people will go and buy Walden Farms, you go onto your Muscle Food, because the difference between these ingredients and your natural and your normal alternatives, such as marshmallow fluff and normal icing sugar, you're really packing on the calories, the carbohydrates, the unhealthy nutrients. With these substitutions, it really does make this cake delicious, and it also makes it very nutritionally balanced as well. So here we have it. It's the high protein, low fat, low carb post-workout birthday cake. Enjoy, everyone.